Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Please remember to like and subscribe. Subscribe if you love the mighty Villa and you want us to win at West Ham. And if you don't subscribe, apparently that means you want Birmingham City to win League One. So what's wrong with you? Come on. Um, yeah, I thought I'd just do a quick chat about West Ham. Firstly, just want to say it's been an action-packed week. It's been wow. Went up to Birmingham, went to Poddymore Heath with Claret and Blue uh, podcast. Chatted to Dan Rowlinson, John Townley, and Matt Kendrick for a season preview. Absolutely fantastic. Had just a wonderful time with some great people. Their podcast is absolutely just class, fantastic stuff, and plenty more great stuff to come from them this season. Absolutely certain of it. Then had Luis Miguel Echegaray on, ESPN FC analyst. We all love Luis Miguel in the Villa world, don't we? He's one of the best football reporters going. He's top of the best, top of the pops. Love him. And then me and George, we did our season preview as well. Great to chat with George again. And then I've just been on For the Love of Paul McGrath, looking ahead to the West Ham game. So uh, again, Neil, For the Love of Paul McGrath, one of the best football podcasts going. I listen to it all the time. Just love him. Think he's a great show. So look, within the Villa world, we're very lucky. I think that you look at other football clubs and sometimes you see people who I think are a little bit, lowest common denominator, go for controversy's sake, shout, scream, bellyache. I think in the Villa world, we're very lucky and fortunate that there's just a great group of people around. And, you know, uh, I think all of us are fans and we all just enjoy it, don't we? We all support the mighty Villa and want to see the Villa do well. So anyway, after all that, after that long speech, um, West Ham United. Right. So now I am going on Saturday. It's a stadium that, Aston Villa have never won at this stadium. We haven't beaten West Ham away since 2011 when West Ham were playing at the old stadium, the Berlin ground, Upton Park, whatever it was called. And now they're at the West Ham Stadium, which you have to get binoculars out to see what the hell's going on. But I can't wait to go. It's the first day of the season and going with some great people from the London Lions. And just get the buzz in the atmosphere and see the mighty Villa playing once again. However, I think it's going to be a really tough day. I just do. Now I'm gonna get the tactical pad out. Here we go. We're in the Unai versity here. Here we go. Let's see. What can I do with tactical pad? There it is. Now there we go. Tactical pad is in the house. Yeah, here's me using some high end kit for the first time in my life. Anyway, look, I think West Ham is going to be a very tough day, just for the fact that I think that Julen Lopetegui knows Unai Emery very well, right? They've played together, played against each other many times, and in that sense, it's an advantage to Villa as well because Unai Emery will probably know what to expect from Julen Lopetegui. But the thing is, Lopetegui can look at the work of what Unai Emery has done for the last year and a half at Villa and have prepared for that for the last few weeks. Whereas Villa go into this game, firstly, away from home. So it's going to be a tough environment. First day of the season. West Ham fans are going to be really up for it. It's on TV, all of that. A bit of pressure on Villa now that we're seen as a bit of a scalp. Certainly a team that teams below us will be wanting to punch up and get at. But it's going to be difficult just because they've got a really good team. And we can't really prepare for what they're going to do, just in the sense like we don't fully know what their team's going to be. It's going to take opposition teams a good month or so before I think they get the hang of West Ham. I think so. The first few weeks could be, if West Ham's fixtures turn out to be quite good, it could be riding quite high in the league. And I put out here on the tactical pad here what I think. For those listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever, please give us 5-star reviews get on your phone app, Apple. It really appreciate it. It helps us grow and all that. But for those listening, I'll try and make this as audibly accessible as it is, for YouTube as well. But I think if you look at the West Ham team, it's very difficult to know who's going to start this weekend for them. I look at their last friendly in pre-season, and they played against Celta Vigo drew 2-2. And in that game, their defense was Soufal, Mavropanos, Kilman, and Emerson. In midfield, they had Rodriguez, the new signing Argentinian World Cup winner, came in from Real Betis. Thomas Soucek, and in the forward positions, they had Jared Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta, and Mikel Antonio. Now, I suspect there'll be a few changes, but not that many. And I think with West Ham, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw Wan-Bissaka straight in there. Although Soufal and Wan-Bissaka, that's two very good options they've got at right back. But Wan-Bissaka's his ability to win the ball, his tackling, his aerial duels, and even his progressive play is all very good. There's better forward-going defenders, but just as a defender, he's a really solid signing for West Ham. Then they've got Todibo as well, who they brought in from Nice. Big, tall, wins headers, again, a big physical presence. And if you think of Mavropanos, who started there last week, again, another player whose aerial duels are really, really good. They're the kind of players I kind of wish Aston Villa had a little bit more of, to be honest, or at least the kind of players I wish we had as options on the bench or even in the starting lineup. Just because obviously our own aerial duels are not great. And last season we conceded a lot from set pieces, and we looked uncomfortable pretty much every time we had to defend a set piece. Now, but if you look at it, I've gone with, I think, the Celta Vigo game last week, they had, as I said, Soufal, Mavropanos, Kilman, and Emerson. I think I'm going to say they go with Wan-Bissaka and Todibo, even though those players haven't really had a chance to bed in yet. They haven't played in pre-season with West Ham. There is a chance that Lopetegui decides to play a little bit safer and just go with a couple of more tried and trusted defenders that have played there. But at the same time, West Ham last season, they were the fourth worst defence in the league. That's really surprising, isn't it, for a David Moyes team? They were really poor. They conceded 74 goals compared to Aston Villa, who conceded 61. What 74 goals for West Ham? Now I partly wonder if that's one or two of their defenders, like Kurt Zouma, perhaps are reaching at the end of their days there. But also, I don't know whether they're just kind of found to be a little bit pedestrian, and the loss of Declan Rice as a defensive midfield screener. Have they addressed that sort of Declan Rice loss? I don't know. It's impossible to replace Declan Rice. It's like replacing Jack Grealish. He's such an absolutely fantastic player. You simply can't do it. So you have to adjust. Now, have they done enough to adjust? Well, I mean, they've had Ward-Prowse now for a good year. He's a very solid midfielder. He'll hassle them. Guido Rodriguez coming in from Spain, Argentinian. Now, I think he's technically a very, very nice player. He's the type of player. Now, Lopetegui likes to play with getting the ball out the back. I think David Moyes' teams, you think of them as been a bit more direct. That's what West Ham largely have been for most of the last few years. Rodriguez is the type of player who could come deep if West Ham want to play it out from the back. The two wing backs, I'll show you here. Let me just get rid of that. The two wing backs can, go forward like that. Palmieri as well there. Wan-Bissaka's gone forward. The two defenders stretch out here, and then say Rodriguez comes back here to get that ball. And then there's the options out wide as well. And with Lopetegui, historically, he's tended to play 4-3-3. He played 4-3-3 at Sevilla to great effect. They won the Europa League, qualified for the Champions League when he was there. Haven't been the same since he left. But then he went into Wolves, and a unique situation at Wolves in the sense that it was a fireman job, wasn't it? He was going in there to save the day. They were in real trouble when he went in. They were bottom of the league. Bruno Lage had sort of lost the plot a little bit. Lopetegui came in and he rescued them big time, and they stayed up with 3 games to spare. And you wouldn't have thought that when he came into the club. And I remember they beat Emery's Aston Villa 1-0 that season, um, playing a 4-2-3-1. And that was a formation that Wolves had largely been playing before Lopetegui came in. So maybe he didn't have the personnel to play the 4-3-3 once. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him play 4-3-3 this season. But have a hunch we'll see a 4-2-3-1 from West Ham as well. They can definitely do 4-3-3. I mean, look at the midfield options they've got. You could have Souček in there as well, alongside of Ward-Prowse, Rodriguez, and Paqueta. But I think that Paqueta is just he's sort of the perfect player to have between the sort of two deep line midfielders and the striker as that roaming presence. He can play out wide, he can play behind the striker, and he can come deep and collect the ball and just make the magic happen. He's certainly going to be a player to look out for, isn't he? But I think what Lopetegui did at Wolves as well was a lot of their attacks came out the wide areas, right? So they'd get the ball out wide, the fullback, and come up a little bit further forward, having played it out the back, and they'd try and knock it forward to the winger. On this occasion, it'd be Wan-Bissaka to Jarrod Bowen or Palmieri to Kudus. Again, two brilliant attacking players. Now, the advantage of that for a defending team, of course, is that let's say Luca Dean plays on Saturday. If he intercepts that ball, or makes a tackle, suddenly you can really get at that team because maybe the fullbacks clung too tight to the line. There's a bit of space for someone like a Morgan Rogers to come into. Whatever it is, it's a good place to win the ball back and then hit that West Ham defense unprepared. But that said, look, like I say, it's kind of just a bit of guesswork at the moment and trying to work out what Lopetegui's done before and trying to work out what he might do with the personnel available to him. I think Rodriguez, if West Ham try and play it out from the back, which I think they will because it's the Lopetegui way, Rodriguez is going to be a key player to come and get that ball, which I think when I look at Villa and wonder. Now, look, as I say, I assume Rodriguez, who knows, it could be Ward-Prowse, it could be Souček, we still just don't know with West Ham. But if I let's imagine it's Rodriguez, whoever it is who comes deep to get the ball, I look at Villa and wonder who's going to play as that second striker. And there's part of me that thinks Tielemans will do it. Rodgers would do it. But I wonder if McGinn might do it to be that player who hassles the midfielder coming deep to get the ball. So let's say Rodriguez has come there to get it, the two defenders are here, and McGinn's just on him. Doesn't give him a moment's rest to really turn and settle. And Rodriguez is new to the Premier League. So it could be caught cold. And I suspect that some of the problems West Ham are going to run into early in this season will be that, if they're trying to play it out from the back, into here, into there, or kind of out wide here. What can happen is that, a team that's not used to doing that will make mistakes early doors. And if you look at West Ham in pre-season, they lost in the US to Wolves. I think they lost 3-1, I want to say. And they lost 3-1 to Crystal Palace. And they conceded 2 goals against Wolves that came from playing it out from the back. Against Crystal Palace, they conceded 1 goal that came from trying to play it out from the back and making a mistake. They then conceded yet another gilt-edged chance by trying to play it out from the back, passed it straight to a Palace midfielder, 1-1 for Palace, and it should have been a second goal. And that already is 3 goals West Ham have conceded by making mistakes from playing it out from the back. Celta Vigo, they drew 2-2. They were 2-1 up, dominating in the second half. And what did they do? They tried to play it out from the back. The player at wing back, I think it was, got pressed. Celta Vigo forward got onto him. And he gave it away. And Celta Vigo scored. So I think there's an opportunity there for Aston Villa to really unsettle West Ham if they try and play out from the back. With a lot of new players, that haven't really played together, um, there's every opportunity that it's going to take them, or there's every chance that it's going to take them a few weeks to really get used to that playing it out from the back, just as it did with Aston Villa. It took us a little while to get used to it as well. Playing it under Unai Emery, we adapted really quickly, and I'm sure West Ham will adapt quickly enough. But I just mean that in the opening weeks, with a lot of new defenders there, that's three of them: Kilman, Todibo, and Wan-Bissaka, and asking them all to play something that they might not be used to having played, or definitely won't be used to playing it together as a unit. That could certainly be an area where Aston Villa could target if we press well enough and win the ball back high up, press them into mistakes. I just wonder if John McGinn is perhaps the best suited to just hassle that defender, or whether even he doesn't do it. Maybe Watkins comes back, doesn't press either centre back, waits for them to make the pass, and then he himself goes on to the midfielder who's come deep. And then also, Villa might press a bit higher up, or Rodgers will come out to the winger, and we sort of the team moves across like that. Let's say if the ball makes its way out to the left midfield. Now, something else worth bearing in mind as well about Lopetegui teams, if you look back at Sevilla and you look at Wolves, he's a manager who likes a cross. At Wolves, I think there was a period of time at Wolves where their highest form of chance creation came from crosses. And if you look at West Ham and you look at Kudus and Bowen and you look at Crescencio Somerville, those are all players who can whip a ball in, aren't they? They're players who can all get to the byline, beat a man, and just cross it in. Kudus gets up to here, Jared Bowen gets to there. They can pull one back to, say, a Paqueta coming in there, or let's say Füllkrug. Now, the reason I put Antonio up front is just that I wonder if they might just, again, feel like with Villa, I think we might go a bit conservative with our starting lineup. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. But with West Ham, I wonder if they might just go with Antonio because of his experience and his maneuverability. And then Füllkrug would be kind of the perfect player to make his debut in the Premier League in, say, the 65th minute. Let Antonio run his heart out, create problems for us, tire us out a bit, and then on comes Füllkrug, and that's when you could bring on, say, Somerville as well. Scored, 19 goals last season, got a whole load of assists as well at Leeds, 9 assists, 19 goals, 9 assists. Players like that, and they can just bombard that box with crosses into the area. Like I said, Lopetegui teams like to cross it, and Niclas Füllkrug has the big clunking head that likes to head it in. I have a feeling that's going to be a problem for us this weekend, just because I just think that defense. I still think we're vulnerable. I still think we're vulnerable to aerial balls into the box. I think we're vulnerable to set pieces. James Ward-Prowse, that's where I think West Ham really could cause us problems. And I'm sure Lopetegui will have a plan for the high line. Now, it sounds like I'm talking up West Ham very highly here, doesn't it? And saying Aston Villa are going to struggle. I'm not saying, I don't think that at all. I'm giving West Ham the credit they deserve, because look at that team. They're a really strong team. And I think if they can click, and they've got a top manager now in Lopetegui, I would not be surprised if West Ham, with the depth they have in their squad as well, they have a fair few players that aren't even on that first starting lineup there. I have a feeling West Ham, if they can adapt quickly to playing it out from the back, and if they can adapt quickly with the new signings, I wonder if West Ham might be in the top 6 come Christmas. But by then, the challenge for them will be, can they adjust when opposition teams have a better plan for them? Can they adjust when opposition teams start to figure out a few weaknesses, a few vulnerabilities? And if they lose one or two, if they pick up a couple of injuries, how do they cope with that? That's going to be the challenge for them. But I certainly think West Ham have the tools and ingredients and the manager, to any West Ham fan watching this, to give it a real go this season to try and get top eight, but not even just that, to get a European place for sure. Now, I've sort of addressed what I think West Ham might do. A couple of potential vulnerabilities playing out from the back and just hassling that midfielder who comes to receive when the centre backs part, and then they sort of go into a three. I also remember when Lopetegui's Wolves played Villa, there was one way they gave us problems where when they went into attack, they kind of changed into an almost 3-1-6 formation. There were bomb players on down the wings, creating overloads out wide. So again, that's an area where you have to wonder, would they bomb a Wan-Bissaka on and a Palmieri? Could do, could do. I certainly think the wide areas would be one to watch this weekend. Now, having talked about all that, I wonder if um, I wonder if Villa are just going to go a bit conservative this weekend, and I think that Luca Dean starting against Athletic Club and against um, Borussia Dortmund feels to me like it's suggesting he's going to start this weekend against West Ham. I think Ian Matson was signed with the intention that he will be our starting fullback this season. He is a step up. He's a Champions League finalist. He's 22, Dutch international, top player. And I'm certain he's going to become a crucial player for us this season because he can bomb it up there to the byline. He can get up there. He's good at interchanging with the fullbacks, with the midfielder, sorry, with the forward line, which is exactly what Alex Moreno did when he came in. He's a little bit more of a Moreno replacement, I think. But Luca Dean, he's been there, done it. He knows Aston Villa. He knows how we play. He's played against West Ham. So it's not really any pressure on him. I think throwing Matson in there immediately might be a little bit quick. I wonder if Emery might just decide to bed him in a little bit, get him playing half an hour for a few games. Then, we go to say Leicester, 90 minutes. And from there, he starts to get those 90 minutes. But to start the season, we just slowly adjust, and maybe Luca Dean is that sort of slightly more solid, not as adventurous, not as good going forward at all, but just a little bit of a solid fullback option with Jared Bowen there, has the experience to potentially try and deal with, an absolute top class player and Jared Bowen, who I think is just going to go from strength to strength this season as well. Then with Villa, I think it's just Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa centre backs. I mean, do we have any other options? I don't think so. Please touch wood that there's no injuries. And then Nedeljkovic and Matty Cash. Now, again, Nedeljkovic played 90 minutes against Borussia Dortmund. I think he's just a couple of really top Premier League performances away from becoming an actual starter. He's got all the raw ingredients. Bombing forward, he's really looks really good. So, he could be a secret weapon if, let's say, I don't think he'll start. I think again it'd just be one for experience. West Ham away, first day of the season. Matty Cash, he's been there, done it. He's playing Kudus. Again, he's a solid option. It'd be Kudus or Somerville or maybe Paqueta out left, whoever it is. Just having Cash away from home, first day of the season, does make a bit of sense in my head. Maybe you will throw Nedeljkovic in. Why not? But you can sort of see a case against it, just in the sense it's a big ask of a teenager to come in and make a debut like that. But there's no fear. And if he does start, great stuff. I'm really excited for him, and I'm excited to see how Nedeljkovic progresses this season. And I think, like I say, if we throw him on in like the 65th minute on Saturday, if he bombs forward and catches a tired West Ham defence catch them out with him getting forward and getting that ball in the box, who knows? He could turn out to be a bit of a secret weapon, and one West Ham probably don't really know a great deal about themselves just yet. We saw those runs against Athletic Club, couple things against Dortmund. We've seen it in pre-season a couple of times. We've seen it in all the videos of him at Red Star. Something there with him. But like I say, what do you think? You let me know. this is just guesswork. I'm not a bloody expert, right? If I was an expert, I'd be working for a football club, wouldn't I? Or right, but I'm going off kind of what I know about Lopetegui, what I know about how he's managed Sevilla and Wolves, and trying to make the best guesswork of what West Ham's all these new players might do, and then what Villa will do. I think Onana comes straight in. I just do that physical presence. He's played in the Premier League. You get in there, he knows what to do. Now, I think the Tielemans McGinn one's interesting. I don't know. I just theorise McGinn might be the one to go after the CDM coming to collect the ball. But I also wonder whether he goes into midfield to be the sort of combative presence alongside Onana, and that Tielemans becomes more of a link-up presence as a second striker. That could definitely happen. Tielemans is excellent in that second striker role and has a great understanding with Leon Bailey in particular. So I really wouldn't be surprised to see, a switcheroo like that. And maybe even Morgan Rogers himself. Does McGinn go out left? And does Tielemans go, stay in that sort of centre midfield role as the kind of new Douglas Luiz type player? He's played alongside Onana for Belgium, so they have that experience playing together. And then Morgan Rogers maybe plays the second striker. And Rogers has been playing in those front two roles all pre-season. So it's clearly where Unai Emery has the vision he's going to end up. But I just wonder if he'll be a bit conservative again. I keep saying that, conservative, and maybe sticks him on the left midfield. And how exciting is it to think that, we could be seeing the return of the great man himself? Could Jacob Ramsey be coming in? I think Ramsey probably doesn't start, but I certainly think he gets on the pitch, and it's pretty cool to think could be coming on, isn't it? Really cool to think he could come on and what he could do. I can't wait to see one of our own. To see one of our own get into the level he's got, and to see him hopefully this season get back to the level he was at before that injury. Oh, I can't wait. I'm buzzing to see Ramsey this season. Absolutely buzzing. I love the man. So the other question, Watkins. Does Watkins start? Hasn't played in pre-season. I do think Villa needed another 2 weeks of pre-season just because we had Concert, Watkins, Durant, and Emi Martinez all away, just to bed in the new signings. In an ideal world, you'd have another couple of weeks. I think it adds into the case that footballers play far too much football these days, because Ollie Watkins' season literally just ended a couple of weeks ago, and he's starting again. I mean, he hasn't had an opportunity to have a pre-season. Footballers play a lot of football now, and one of my outside bets this season is that we might even see a player strike ahead of that Club World Cup next summer. That's my outside bet. So there'll be talk about it, at least, even if it doesn't happen. Anyway, Watkins up there, up top. Yeah, I could see it. But if he doesn't, who goes there? Is it John Duran? Not sure I see that. I could see Duran getting on the pitch at some point, but not sure he's been well behaved enough to go up front. So I just think Rogers could play up front. He did against Athletic Club. He could, but I just think Watkins, look, he knows Villa. We know what we're going to get. Emery trusts him absolutely. He's fit. He's fit enough, and his season only just ended a month or so ago. He's been out in Mykonos or wherever. Who knows? Topping up his tan, he'll look all right when he comes in, I'm sure. But I'm fairly sure he'll be fit and firing already. And I think Unai will probably trust him to just go in there and do what he's got to do. You can't write off that he might be slightly off the pace, even just a couple of weeks out can affect you. But I don't see any other option at the moment with Cameron Archer. I'm seeing my phone's buzzing at the moment that I think he might be going to, is it Southampton? Something's going on. That's just coming to me live as I'm recording this. Anyway, so yes. Otherwise, maybe Emi Buendia could get on the pitch for a few minutes this weekend. Eiling Jr., Enzo Baranachea. Quite a few options. So yes. There we go. That's what I kind of think it will look like. I think, to sum it up, too long don't read. West Ham's crosses into the box. Füllkrug in particular. will be a threat. Lopetegui likes to cross. At Wolves, he went down the wings a lot with his players, but he does prefer a 4-3-3, and I wonder if that's what he'll move to at West Ham. I don't know if he's going to do that yet. He might start with a 4-2-3-1 just because it's a formation these West Ham players have done before under David Moyes, but with the intention that as the season progresses, moving into a 4-3-3. Like I say, it's only really guesswork at the moment, West Ham, which is it's going to be tricky for Villa to know what to prepare for, really. But Emery, it's the professor. He ain't sitting there playing Legend of Zelda, people. Unai Emery, Professor Unai, ain't sitting there playing Legend of Zelda and working out how to do a shrine. He ain't there in GTA robbing banks like I am. He's in there writing up. He's got something a bit more high tech than tactical pads, and he's bloody preparing for every single eventuality. Can't wait for this season to get going. Stop the share there. My own guess is that season starts a little bit patchy. I have a feeling Villa will take a little while to get going, just because of volume of new players. We've lost Douglas Luiz, who was a key player, news to Diaby as well, but I think particularly Douglas Luiz. I think Unai Emery himself maybe just works out one or two things about who suits what, and there could be another couple of signings to come in yet as well. So, yeah, I just think, but once that my theory of a patchy start, maybe happens, Villa have the quality here and the manager to really get going. And I think that this is all a long-term project. It's about building. Sometimes there'll be moments of transition. I think this is a bit of a transitional moment. But once that Villa team hit their stride, playing Emery ball that we all know and love, this will be a serious force to reckon with in the Premier League. I can't wait. Anyway, let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe. The 5-star reviews really help. I'm sorry to keep saying it. I know it probably gets quite annoying, but I do have to say it because it's just, just a reminder. It really helps us. And I just have such passion for this. I love meeting fellow Villa fans. I love talking to fellow Villa fans about this. I could sit here all day doing it. Thank you so much for everybody who listened, watched, did all the rest. Up the mighty Villa.